1421, The Year China Discovered America by Gavin Menzies. Gavin Menzies is a retired British naval officer who believes the Chinese discovered America 70 years before Columbus. His book tells the story of the Chinese fleet as it travels the world as he sees it, and then he matches it with evidence at various landing spots. Menzies uses an actual historical event to begin his story. The Chinese Emperor Zhu Di was inaugurating the building of the Forbidden City in Beijing, and he invited representatives from many nations. 28 attended. On February 2nd, 1421, China dwarfed every nation on earth. On that Chinese New Year's Day, kings and envoys from the length and breadth of Asia, Arabia, Africa, and the Indian Ocean assembled amid the splendors of Beijing to pay homage to the Emperor Zhu Di, the Son of Heaven. A fleet of Leviathan ships navigating the oceans with pinpoint accuracy had brought the rulers and their envoys to pay tribute to the Emperor and bear witness to the inauguration of his majestic and mysterious walled capital, the Forbidden City. No fewer than 28 heads of state were present, but the Holy Roman Emperor, the Emperor of Byzantium, the Doge of Venice, and the kings of England, France, Spain, and Portugal were not among them. They had not been invited, for such backward states, lacking trade goods or any worthwhile scientific knowledge, ranked low on the Chinese emperor's scale of priorities. It's an excerpt from the book. Other information that Menzies used that led him to search for evidence. China had a great sailing fleet that created a vast trade network in the Indian Ocean, and we know the emperor's trusted eunuch, Zheng He, was the admiral of that fleet. There's also a stone inscription that was found at the Palace of the Celestial Spouse in China that was dated 1431, and it says, "We, Zheng He, and his companions, Admirals Hong Bao, Zhao Man, Zhou Wen, and Yang Kuang, at the beginning of Zhu Di's reign, received the imperial commission as envoys to the barbarians. Up until now, 7 voyages have taken place, and each time we have commanded several tens of thousands of government soldiers and more than 100 ocean-going vessels. We have reached countries of the western regions, more than 3,000 countries in all. We have beheld in the ocean huge waves like mountains rising sky high, and we have set eyes on barbarian regions far away, hidden in a blue transparency of light vapors, whilst our sails, loftily unfurled like clouds, day and night continued their course, rapid like that of a star, traversing those savage waves." This picture isn't of the actual stone inscription, but it was something like that. So, where did they travel? Where are the barbarian regions? Where are the 3,000 countries of the Western region? This is what Gavin Menzies wanted to find out. As he searched, here are a few of the examples of the evidence he found. First of all, the Chinese had a vast knowledge of astronomy, shipbuilding, and ocean currents. They controlled the Indian Ocean trade routes, so he surmises that they could have sailed into the Pacific Ocean as well, or the Atlantic. He also has a map that's dated 1421 that includes the Americas on it. Once again, the question is the map authentic? He says the Chinese used this map. In the Bahamas are 2 rows of rocks that nobody has been able to decipher why they're there. Menzies surmises that the road was built by Chinese to haul their ship onto the shores for repairs. It's called the Bimini Road. And some people suggest it's just natural rock formation, but Menzies thinks the Chinese did it. These are just a few of the pieces of evidence. Menzies has a website where all the evidence is shown. You can go to the website and view more of the evidence at the web address shown. However, this is a controversy. Only a few ships returned, and all records were destroyed. Why did they destroy the records? By the time that he returned, new Chinese rulers had taken over, and they preferred isolation, and they wanted to destroy all records of Western connections. And so he says the records were destroyed, so that causes a bit of a problem to determine whether it's actually true. Here's another excerpt from the book. Alas, only a handful of ships and men returned to their home port in the fall of 1423, and they found that China had changed. Zhu Di was dying, a broken man, and the mandarins who now ran the country were busily dismantling the apparatus for a worldwide empire that he had assembled. China was entering its long night of isolation from the outside world. The admirals were dismissed, their ships were broken up or just deserted, and an untold number of maps, charts, chronicles were destroyed. This serves as yet another example of a Chinese regime that tried to change history by trying to erase it. But now, bit by bit, evidence for these astounding exploits is being uncovered, and we can celebrate their bravery and skill. In the end, how do we decide whether this is true? Are the maps authentic? What is the Bimini Road? What evidence would you need to have to convince you that the Chinese did discover America 70 years before Columbus? Based on that, here's your assignment. I want you to write a 1 to 2-page essay analyzing this evidence that Menzies has found. Be sure to analyze specifically 2 pieces of evidence, and then give a 1-paragraph general analysis of that evidence. So in other words, you've got a paragraph for 2 specific pieces of evidence and 1 paragraph in just looking at the evidence as a whole. Then in your paper, I want you to answer this question. If this or any other theories that we looked at in class are true, what does this information mean for students of history and the study of history? So if the Chinese did discover America, what does that mean for us as we study the rest of history, or as we study history? Think of it this way. Considering children have been taught that Columbus discovered America for the last 200 years, what would this new discovery teach us about how we study history?